Next this lunchtime, it was the first real test of the public mood since the intense scrutiny of Christmas parties in Downing Street last year. And in North Shropshire, one of the safest Tory seats in the country, voters have made their feelings known at the ballot box. The Lib Dems won the seat, overturning a Conservative majority of almost 23,000. Well, newly elected MP Helen Morgan said the party is over for the Prime Minister. We'll be live in North Shropshire in just a moment, but first our political correspondent Daniel Hewitt with the results and the reaction. Still to come, but first, new COVID restrictions have been announced in Wales to try to stop the spread of Omicron. Ellie Pitts is in Cardiff for us. So, Ellie, what's been the reaction there to these new measures? We just had the latest infection data from the Office for National Statistics for the week ending December the 11th. So it doesn't include the recent surge of Omicron cases. What it shows is that 1 in 55 people in Wales had COVID. In Northern Ireland, it was 1 in 50, 1 in 60 in England and 1 in 80 in Scotland. Well, joining us now is one of our regular GPs here on Lunchtime News, Dr. Natalie Rout. Dr. Rout, thank you so much for talking to us this lunchtime. That infection data there, how concerned should we be, given that we haven't really seen the effect of Omicron yet, and given just how much we know how more infectious it is than other variants? Encouraged to do, of course, is go and get our booster shots. We've seen lots of queues snaking around different vaccination centres, haven't we, across the country? But worth saying that if we are getting our shots now before Christmas, there is a lag between getting the shots and getting more coverage and protection, isn't there? You know, another message from the government is, test. Make sure you're doing these lateral flow tests every day just to know whether you might be asymptomatic, for example. But we're hearing lots of reports of people who just can't get hold of them at pharmacies, and even problems with the NHS website as well. As ever, very good advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Sex and the City star Chris Noth has been accused of sexually assaulting 2 women. The actor, best known for playing Mr. Big in the hit show, denies the allegations, saying the encounters were consensual. Sharon Thomas reports. Some other news, and rail passengers are being hit with the largest fare rise in nearly a decade, announcing a... And finally, a group of grandmothers from West London have been making thousands of chapatis to feed the vulnerable in their community. The women, many of whom are retired, gather from 4 a.m. every day in the kitchen of their local Sikh temple in Southall. They provide the free food known as langar, which is an act of selfless service in the Sikh faith. Anna Geary reports. Well, that hasn't made you hungry. I don't know what will. And that is it for this lunchtime. I'm back here with the evening news at 6:30. The news where you are follows the national weather. But from everyone here on the Lunchtime team, bye-bye. Hello again. Now the main stories in London. 2 sets of twin boys aged 3 and 4 have died in a house fire in Sutton. Cancellations are having a devastating effect on hospitality and entertainment venues in the West End, according to the leader of Westminster City Council. COVID is also making itself felt in the football world. Crystal Palace and West Ham are among the latest clubs to have their games postponed this weekend due to coronavirus outbreaks in the Premier League. And for a 4th weekend in a row, drivers on the Central and Victoria lines are due to walk out tonight and tomorrow in a round. All right, time for the weather now. Here's Philippa. All right, time to take a look at what's coming up at 6. But that's all from us for now. As I said, we'll be back here at 6. Until then, enjoy your afternoon. Bye-bye. Has the bubble burst for Boris Johnson?
Evening News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good evening. The Prime Minister says he takes personal responsibility for his party's embarrassing defeat to the Lib Dems in the North Shropshire by-election. It's being seen as a damning verdict on Boris Johnson's leadership, even among senior Conservatives who've called for him to get a grip. The seat was as safe as they come, having been in Tory hands for 200 years with a majority of 23,000 votes. But former MP Owen Paterson was forced to quit over a lobbying scandal which was made worse by the Prime Minister. And a series of other scandals, including those Christmas parties, appears to have turned true blue voters away. Here's our political correspondent Libby Dem on the historic defeat. And that hangover may be about to get worse for the Prime Minister. The civil servant leading the investigation into the Downing Street lockdown parties is accused of holding a Christmas party of his own. Simon Case was due to give his report imminently. Our deputy political editor. Well, there's no let-up for the Prime Minister either with the Omicron outbreak. The latest figures showed another record number of cases. Across the UK, there were 93,000 new infections in the past 24 hours. That breaks the daily record for the third day in a row. There have also been a further 111 deaths. Boris Johnson warned that Omicron is a very serious threat, but is showing no sign of tightening measures further in England. Wales and Scotland, though, are taking tougher action, and that's already having an impact on the hospitality industry, as Dan Rivers reports. Two sets of twins have tragically lost their lives in a house fire in South London. The boys, who are aged 3 and 4 and related, were trapped inside the property early yesterday evening. A neighbour told ITV News that firefighters desperately tried to resuscitate them, but none of them survived. The children were alone at the time. A 27-year-old woman has been arrested on suspicion of child neglect. From the scene, Juliet Bremner reports. A man has been found guilty of murdering a millionaire hotelier and the attempted murder of his own mother. Premier League managers are set to meet next Monday to discuss how to tackle the growing COVID crisis. 9 games have been postponed over the past week because of outbreaks at the clubs, and there are concerns that more will follow. Well, Geraint Vincent is here. So, Geraint, what are the Premier League's options now?
Well, they're not. Half the Premier League's games have been postponed. Now, Mr Gerrard and other Premier League managers and their...
Geraint, thank you. Still to come on the ITV Evening News. Those stories and more after the break. Welcome back. Sex and the City star Chris Noth has denied allegations that he raped 2 women. The actor, who played Mr Big in the series, says he didn't assault the alleged victims and their encounters were consensual. As Martha Fairley reports, the claims were prompted as he reprised his role in the spin-off series Just Like That. Rail passengers face the biggest rise in ticket prices for nearly a decade. Fares... Next tonight, why this Christmas will be extra special for one mum and her new baby. Laura Ward went into a coma after catching COVID while pregnant. When she woke up 7 weeks later, she was shocked and delighted that her baby had been delivered safe and well. We're now finally back home. Laura told ITV News about the magic moment when she first saw her daughter, as Chloe Keedy reports. Oh, but in a blow to Strictly fans, TV presenter AJ Adudu has had to pull out of tomorrow night's final after suffering an ankle injury. And finally tonight, to a contest nobody wants to win, the UK's worst council Christmas tree in Mexborough in South Yorkshire. Residents said their display looked more like a cactus. In St Helens, officials didn't even bother with lights. But top of the festive failures is Staley Bridge in Greater Manchester. Locals there were left wondering where the tree had gone, as our North of England reporter Sangeeta Lal explains. It's not that bad. That is it for now. Reggie will be here at the later time of 10:35, but from me and all the team, bye-bye.